What if I told you that 3 of Africa's most landlocked nations, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, are building the continent's largest railway project? A move that could redefine West Africa's economic future. Welcome to our channel. If you're passionate about transformative infrastructure and Africa's development, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our future videos. Before we start, let's take a moment to appreciate the magnitude of what's happening. In 2025, 3 members of the Alliance of Sahel States, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, took a bold step into the future. They initiated a monumental railway project designed to connect their capital cities, Ouagadougou, Bamako, and Niamey, through a unified modern railway network. But this isn't just about steel tracks and locomotives. This is a strategic act of economic defiance, an effort to escape the grip of underdevelopment, isolation, and dependency. These nations, often viewed through the lens of poverty, insecurity, and instability, are making a powerful statement. We are building our own way forward. With no coastline of their own, these countries have long struggled with logistical nightmares, importing goods through distant ports, paying high transportation costs, and waiting weeks, sometimes months, for shipments. This railway is their counterattack. It promises to ease cargo transport, speed up travel, and most importantly, stitch together 3 countries that share more than just borders. They share a vision. Now, let's zoom in on how this massive project is actually being structured. The railway blueprint is no small feat. The primary goal: to construct a corridor that spans approximately 1,200 kilometers, connecting the heart of these nations directly to each other. This route will transform how people and goods move, enabling trade routes that are faster, safer, and far more efficient than the outdated road networks currently in use. Let's look at the route overview of this railway. Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso, Niamey in Niger, and Bamako in Mali will serve as the spine of the new network. Then smaller towns along the way will benefit from access to central hubs, encouraging rural-urban flow and stimulating local economies. Who is going to fund or partner with this railway? The Islamic Development Bank has stepped in with a substantial financial commitment of EUR 187.83 million. This funding is earmarked for the rehabilitation of 302.8 km of roads and 61 km of rail lines within Burkina Faso. This isn't just a financial boost. It's a lifeline that modernizes decades-old infrastructure. In a region frequently battered by harsh weather and unpredictable climate shifts, sustainability is critical. That's why the World Bank has backed the project with a $216 million investment aimed at strengthening climate-resilient infrastructure. We're talking about railways that can endure floods, temperature extremes, and other natural challenges that previously halted transportation during critical periods. But how does this all translate to real-world change for everyday citizens and businesses? At this point, I think it's time to look at the economic and social impact of this railway. At the core of this railway project is a deeply human story. It's about more than engineering. It's about transformation, not just of infrastructure, but of lives, cities, and possibilities. Currently, West African countries trade far more with nations outside the continent than with each other. That's a massive missed opportunity. By enabling faster, cheaper, and more reliable trade routes between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, this railway stands to revolutionize commerce in the region. Agricultural goods, raw minerals, and manufactured products all will flow more easily and affordably. And with better access to regional markets, businesses will grow and new enterprises will emerge. Railway construction doesn't just bring steel and cement, it brings employment. From engineers and construction workers to logistics managers and maintenance crews, thousands of people across the Sahel will benefit from direct and indirect job opportunities. This injects much needed income into local economies and supports long-term skill development. New train stations, improved roads, and modern logistics centers will open up previously marginalized areas. Farmers will have better access to markets. Children will get to schools faster. Healthcare access will improve. It's a chain reaction. Economic infrastructure becomes social infrastructure. And just as important as the project itself are the international partnerships that are backing it. Pulling off a project of this size takes more than political will. It demands resources, technical know-how, and diplomatic cooperation. Fortunately, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have managed to attract support from several key global players. In an unexpected twist, Russia has expressed strong interest in becoming a major player in Sahelian infrastructure. Through its state-run rail development company, Russian Railways, the country has offered to support large-scale railway and logistics projects in Burkina Faso. This comes at a time when West Africa is increasingly looking for non-Western partners to diversify its alliances and reduce dependency. Beyond initial financing, the IDB is providing long-term technical assistance and project oversight. Their involvement ensures compliance with international construction standards, financial transparency, and environmental sustainability. With climate resilience as a non-negotiable feature of modern infrastructure, the World Bank's support goes beyond money. They are actively involved in designing systems that adapt to the realities of West Africa's harsh environment, ensuring this railway isn't just built, but built to last. These partners are not just investors. They are co-architects of a future where the Sahel is no longer landlocked in isolation, but land-linked in opportunity. However, no large project is without hurdles. As promising as the railway project sounds, there are real-world obstacles that could slow down or even derail progress if not carefully managed. The Sahel region has been plagued by armed conflict, terrorism, and political instability, particularly in northern Mali and parts of Burkina Faso. Ensuring the safety of construction crews, engineers, and future passengers is a major concern. If routes pass through conflict zones, delays are inevitable. Initial funding is substantial, but not enough. Large infrastructure projects frequently face budget overruns. Fluctuating global prices for steel, fuel, and construction materials could add pressure. Additional investors, possibly from the private sector or the African Development Bank, may need to step in. While international partners can provide consultants, the long-term success of the railway depends on local ownership. That means training and retaining skilled local workers, engineers, technicians, managers who can operate and maintain the network after the international teams leave. Still, the sheer ambition and scale of this project suggests that the benefits far outweigh the risks. And in a moment, we'll reflect on why this project matters, not just for Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, but for the entire continent. Tackling the real challenges, what's standing in the way? Now that we've seen the grand ambition behind this railway, it's time to get real. Ambitious projects like this don't happen without facing serious roadblocks, and this one is no exception. In fact, some of the biggest challenges threatening the project's future aren't just logistical. They're deeply rooted in politics, security, and long-term sustainability. Let's start with one of the biggest issues on the table: regional insecurity. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have all been heavily impacted by ongoing insurgencies and extremist violence, especially in their border regions. These conflicts don't just threaten lives. They disrupt construction efforts, scare off investors, and increase the cost of doing anything meaningful in these areas. This poses a difficult question. How do you build infrastructure in places where workers and engineers are at constant risk? The answer lies in strategic planning and the integration of security protocols into every phase of development. Already, governments are taking steps to secure key zones along the railway's path, but this remains a moving target. Then there's the issue of funding gaps. Yes, the Islamic Development Bank and the World Bank have stepped in with hundreds of millions in support. But for a project this massive, that's just the beginning. Experts estimate that the full cost of building out the entire around 200-kilometer rail network could reach well over $4 billion. That means these countries must work tirelessly to attract more investors, whether from the private sector, development agencies, or foreign governments with an interest in Africa's growth. Another major concern is the lack of technical expertise. Building a modern rail system isn't as simple as laying tracks and calling it a day. It involves advanced engineering, environmental studies, urban planning, and digital management systems. Unfortunately, most of the necessary skill sets are currently imported, creating dependency on foreign contractors and consultants. That's why part of the project's long-term plan involves training local talent. Engineering schools in Ouagadougou, Niamey, and Bamako are already exploring partnerships to ensure the next generation of African engineers can not only maintain but also expand the railway in the decades to come. Despite these hurdles, the project is far from a fantasy. In fact, it could be the catalyst for a continent-wide movement. What Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are building isn't just a rail network. It's a blueprint for how Africa can break free from isolation and underdevelopment. For far too long, African nations have relied on outdated colonial-era trade routes that were designed to extract resources, not empower local economies. These routes often point outward, to the coast, to Europe, to the ports. But what about the interior? This railway dares to reimagine Africa's economic geography. It says, what if we turned inward and built connections between ourselves? It's a call to reject the legacy of fragmentation and instead create strong, cooperative internal trade zones. By linking 3 landlocked nations, the project is already inspiring similar initiatives. Discussions are underway about potentially extending the line toward Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, and Ghana, which would link the interior to major Atlantic ports. That means goods like cotton, gold, livestock, and uranium could move more quickly to global markets, and imported goods like machinery and fuel could reach inland cities without relying solely on trucks, which are slower, more expensive, and less environmentally friendly. This is where the potential for a continental ripple effect becomes clear. If this model succeeds, we could see similar projects spring up in East Africa, Central Africa, and beyond. It's no exaggeration to say that railway revival could be one of Africa's most powerful tools in the 21st century. Let's take a closer look at how this transformation could impact everyday people on the ground. It's easy to focus on the billion-dollar budgets and international partners, but at its core, this railway project is about people. And for the everyday citizens of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the changes could be life-altering. Imagine a farmer in central Mali. Right now, getting his goods to market might involve a multi-day journey on rough, often dangerous roads with as goods at risk of spoiling or getting lost. But with a functioning rail system, that journey could be cut down to a few hours. This means less waste, higher profits, and more motivation to grow crops and invest in farming. For students and workers, easier travel means better access to education, healthcare, and employment opportunities in cities they previously couldn't reach. For women, who often bear the brunt of limited mobility in these regions, this could open new doors to entrepreneurship and professional training. Even simple things like visiting relatives or attending regional festivals will become easier, reducing the emotional and psychological toll of isolation. And for business owners, lower transportation costs mean they can be more competitive, not just locally, but across borders. All of this is part of a broader movement, one that reflects Africa's growing confidence in shaping its own future. For decades, many of Africa's infrastructure projects have been heavily influenced, if not entirely controlled, by foreign powers. Roads were built to serve mines, ports were built for exports, railways were designed to benefit colonial economies. But today's projects, like this railway, are different. They are led by Africans, designed for African needs, and executed with long-term sustainability in mind. The Alliance of Sahel States, formed in 2023, has been instrumental in pushing forward this new mindset. Comprising Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the alliance emphasizes regional unity, self-determination, and shared growth. And the railway is one of their boldest statements yet. This is not just about moving goods. It's about moving ideas, people, and cultures. It's about building trust and cooperation. And most importantly, it's about proving to the world and to themselves that Africa doesn't have to wait for others to lead. This railway project isn't just about transportation, it's about transformation. By connecting their capitals, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are proving that regional unity, bold vision, and infrastructure can unlock real economic power. Yes, challenges exist, but the ambition behind this move is undeniable. It's a signal that Africa's future will be written by its own hands, on its own terms. If you found this video valuable, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to stay updated on more powerful stories shaping Africa's tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.